You're 71 years old. You've done everything right. You worked hard, saved diligently, and now you've got a comfortable pension, Social Security coming in every month, $750,000 sitting in an IRA, and $50,000 in savings. By most people's standards, you're winning. You actually made it. And then your grandkids, who live halfway across the world in Thailand, call you. And you think to yourself, I want to go see them while I still can. That's it. That's the whole desire. Not a yacht, not a second home, not some crazy luxury splurge. Just a grandmother who wants to hug her grandchildren before time makes that harder to do. So she asks a simple question. Should I sell $10,000 worth of stock to pay for this trip? And here's where it gets interesting. Because what looks like a simple question on the surface, it's actually hiding about 4 different financial decisions underneath it, each one with real consequences for her retirement, her legacy, and her tax bill. And I promise you, whether you're 71 or 41, the logic we're going to walk through today applies to you too. Because this is really about something bigger than one trip to Thailand. It's about understanding how your money works together as a system. And most people, they never think about it that way. They just grab from whatever account feels easiest. And that mistake, that one habit, can quietly cost you tens of thousands of dollars over a decade. Hello, I'm Anne. Welcome to my channel. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. So, let's get into it. Here's the thing about this woman's situation. Let's call her Grandma because that's how she signed her letter. She actually has a really elegant financial picture, like genuinely impressive. She has Social Security, she has a pension, she owns her home outright. She's got $750,000 in a traditional IRA, $50,000 in a high-interest savings account. And then there's the stock. 750 shares of a single company that her father gifted her 6 years ago, when it was worth $100 a share. Today, it's sitting at $185 a share. So that's roughly $138,750 in a taxable brokerage account. Now, most people look at that and think, she's fine, just sell a little stock, done. But slow down, because Grandma herself is asking the smarter question. Should I sell stock or should I pull from savings instead? And then she adds another layer. If I sell stock, how will I be taxed on it? 2 excellent questions. And I'll be honest, the answers surprised even me the first time I really dug into them. Let's start with the tax question, because this is where most people get completely blindsided. When someone gives you stock as a gift, not inherits, gives, the IRS treats it differently than you might expect. Most people assume, hey, I received this stock when it was worth $100 a share, so my cost basis, the number the IRS uses to calculate my gain, must be $100, right? Wrong. And this is a really important distinction that could save you, or cost you, a significant amount of money. When you inherit stock, something called a step-up in basis applies. That means if your parent bought the stock at $20 a share decades ago, and it's worth $100 when you inherit it, the IRS essentially resets your cost basis to $100. You only pay capital gains on gains that happen after you inherit it. It's one of the most powerful and honestly under-discussed tax benefits in the entire tax code. But when someone gives you stock as a gift while they're still alive, no step up. You inherit the original owner's cost basis. So if Grandma's father bought that stock years ago at, say, $20 a share, which we don't know for sure, she doesn't get to start her clock at $100. Her taxable gain could be $165 per share, not $85. Now, we don't know exactly what Grandma's father paid for the stock, but the principle is crystal clear. If you're thinking about selling gifted stock, you need to find out the original purchase price, the donor's cost basis, before you do anything, because your tax bill might be a lot higher than you're calculating. This is one of those things that sounds like a technicality, but it can genuinely mean thousands of dollars in taxes you weren't expecting, and nobody warns you about it. All right, so now we understand the tax picture around the stock. Let's get back to the bigger question. Which account should Grandma actually pull this $10,000 from? She has 3 options on the table: the savings account, the brokerage account with the stock, or the IRA. Let me eliminate one immediately: the IRA. Please do not touch the IRA for this. A traditional IRA withdrawal at 71 gets taxed as ordinary income. Depending on her total income for the year, that could push her into a higher tax bracket, and she'd be giving up the compounding power of that $750,000 nest egg unnecessarily. The IRA is off the table for a $10,000 discretionary expense. We're not even discussing it further. So it's really between the savings account and the brokerage account. And this is where I want to introduce a concept that people talk about a lot in theory, but almost never apply in practice: opportunity cost. Here's the thing. Every dollar you spend today is not just that dollar. It's everything that dollar could have become. If your brokerage account is growing at, let's say, 7% per year after inflation, which is a reasonable, moderate projection for a diversified portfolio, then $10,000 today becomes roughly $19,700 in 10 years. That means selling $10,000 from the brokerage doesn't just cost you $10,000. It costs you nearly $9,700 in future growth over the next decade. Now, does that mean you should never spend money from a brokerage account? Of course not, but it's a real cost you need to factor in, especially when you have a high-interest savings account sitting right there that you're holding specifically as liquid reserves. The savings account exists for exactly this kind of thing. Use it. That's what it's for. The stock and the IRA are long-term compounding machines. You let those run. And there's a second, even more powerful reason to leave the stock alone that most people completely miss. Stay with me here because this is where it gets really interesting. Grandma said she wants to leave her IRA to her children if possible. Noble goal, incredibly common goal for people her age. But here's what most people don't understand. Not all accounts are created equal when it comes to passing wealth to your heirs. The tax treatment on inherited assets varies dramatically depending on what kind of account it came from. That taxable brokerage account, the one with the stock, is actually one of the most tax-efficient assets she can leave behind. Why? Because of that step up in basis we talked about earlier. If Grandma holds that stock until she dies, and her kids or grandkids inherit it, they get a step up in basis to whatever the stock is worth at the time of her death. Every dollar of gain that happened during her lifetime, the IRS essentially forgives it. Her heirs could sell immediately and owe zero capital gains tax on decades of appreciation. That is an extraordinary gift, and most people have no idea it exists. Now flip that around to the IRA. When her kids inherit a traditional IRA, they don't get any step up. The money inside a traditional IRA has never been taxed. It went in pre-tax, it grew tax-deferred, and when it comes out, whether Grandma takes it or her kids take it after she's gone, it gets taxed as ordinary income. Every single dollar. And the IRS has tightened the rules on inherited IRAs significantly in recent years. Under rules that took effect in 2025, if Grandma has already started taking required minimum distributions, which she will need to begin at age 73, then a non-spouse heir who inherits that IRA has to take annual distributions starting the year after she passes, and the entire account has to be emptied within 10 years of her death. That's the 10-year rule combined with annual distribution requirements. And depending on how much money is in there and what tax bracket her kids are in, that could be a significant tax hit for them. So here's the bottom line from a legacy standpoint. The brokerage account with the stock is actually more valuable to leave to her heirs than an equivalent amount in the IRA. because the brokerage account transfers essentially tax-free through the step-up in basis, while the IRA transfers as taxable ordinary income. Which means, and follow this logic all the way through, spending down the savings account for the Thailand trip while preserving the brokerage account for inheritance is actually the smartest move from a tax efficiency standpoint, not just for grandma, for her entire family's financial future. This is what I mean when I say your money works as a system. Every decision ripples outward. Now I want to take a second to address something Grandma mentioned almost in passing, but that I think deserves real attention. That $138,000 in stock, it's in a single company, one company, and it currently represents more than 15% of her total investable assets. That's what's called concentration risk. And it's one of those things that sounds fine, great even, right up until it isn't. Look, there are people who have gotten fabulously wealthy by concentrating in a single stock. Amazon employees, Apple early adopters. There are stories that make you think, why would I ever diversify? Here's why. For every one of those stories, there are dozens of people who held 30%, 40%, 50% of their wealth in a single company, a company they believed in deeply, maybe even worked for, and watched it collapse. Enron, Lehman Brothers, WorldCom. These weren't fringe companies, they were pillars, and the people who were concentrated in those stocks lost everything they had built. Concentration risk isn't theoretical. It's the quiet killer of retirement portfolios everywhere. Now, Grandma's stock has done beautifully, up from $100 to $185 in 6 years. That's roughly 10.8% annualized. Impressive. But past performance doesn't protect you from future volatility. A single company can drop 40%, 50%, 60% in a bad year, or even a bad quarter, on news that nobody saw coming. The financial advice here is to gradually sell a portion of that stock over time, not all at once, but steadily, to reduce concentration risk and diversify into a broader portfolio. You don't have to do it in one move. You can spread it across multiple tax years to manage the capital gains exposure. But slowly chipping away at that single company concentration is genuinely prudent financial hygiene at 71. And here's the silver lining. This is actually a reason to keep the brokerage account intact right now, rather than spending it on the trip, because you want to be strategic about when and how you sell those shares. Not reactive, not impulsive, planned. Okay, let me pull this all together, because I want to make sure you're walking away from this with real, actionable clarity, not just for Grandma, for yourself. Number 1, use the savings account for the trip. Full stop. The $50,000 in savings is exactly what that account is for. It's liquid, it's accessible, and spending $10,000 from it leaves her with a very healthy $40,000 cushion. The brokerage account and the IRA can continue to compound undisturbed. Number 2, understand the tax rules on gifted stock before you sell anything. If you've ever received stock as a gift, not an inheritance, but a gift, find out what the original owner paid for it. That's your cost basis, not what it was worth when you received it. The IRS will tax you on the gain from that original price, and your bill could be significantly higher than you expect. Number 3, think about your accounts as a tax-efficient system, not just a pool of money. Taxable brokerage accounts can be extraordinarily powerful legacy tools because of the step-up in basis. IRAs are powerful wealth-building tools during your lifetime, but they're less tax-efficient to pass on. Knowing which bucket to spend from and which to preserve can save your family tens of thousands of dollars. Number 4, if you have significant concentration in a single stock, make a plan to gradually diversify, not out of pessimism, out of wisdom. You've built something real. Protect it. And number 5, and I want to be direct about this one, go on the trip. This is the part of personal finance that spreadsheets can't capture. The return on investment of watching your grandchildren grow up, of being there, of making memories while you're healthy enough to travel. That's not a line item. That's the whole point of having built financial security in the first place. Here's something I think about a lot. There's a version of financial advice that treats money as the end goal. Maximize the account, minimize the taxes, optimize the returns. And that's not wrong. Those things matter, but they're supposed to serve your life, not the other way around. Grandma has done the hard work. She's earned this. She's not being reckless. She's not blowing her retirement on something frivolous. She's a 71-year-old woman who wants to see her grandchildren in Thailand while she still has her health. If that's not what the money is for, then what is it for? The smartest thing she can do is take the $10,000 from savings, book the flights, and go. And she should do it knowing that her financial house is in excellent order. Her stock continues to compound. Her IRA continues to grow. Her kids and grandkids are set up to inherit a thoughtfully structured estate. And she gets to be a grandmother who shows up. That's not foolish. That's the whole point. Now look, if you're watching this and you're in a different season of life, maybe 35 or 45 or 55, you might be thinking, this doesn't apply to me yet. But I want to push back on that. The decisions Grandma is navigating right now, which account to draw from, how to think about tax efficiency, how to balance spending with legacy planning, how to think about concentration risk, these are not retirement problems. These are wealth-building problems that start the moment you have more than one account. The earlier you understand how your accounts work together as a system, the more powerful that knowledge becomes. Because compounding doesn't just apply to money, it applies to financial decisions. Good habits and smart structures, built early, compound into extraordinary outcomes over time. So if you haven't already, I want you to sit down this week. Genuinely, put it in your calendar and ask yourself 3 questions. What accounts do I have? Which ones are tax advantaged? Which are taxable? Which are liquid? And if something unexpected happened tomorrow, a medical expense, a family need, an opportunity, which account would I pull from? And what would that actually cost me? If you can't answer those questions clearly and quickly, that's your homework. That's where to start. Because the goal isn't to have the most money at the end. The goal is to have a life you actually wanted to live, supported by a financial structure that made it possible. Grandma figured that out. Let's make sure you're figuring it out too. If this video helped you think about your own money differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you have a financial dilemma you want me to dig into, a real situation, a real question, something you're genuinely wrestling with, drop it in the comments. That's what this channel is for. Now go take your trip, Grandma. You've earned it.